hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Chatting with the Experts TV show, where I showcase amazing, interesting, I'm out of descriptions, women from Africa, from the Caribbean, and the diaspora. Our mission, that's my guest and myself, is to inspire, to motivate, and empower women globally. I sometimes have men, but for the most part, my guests are women. Today, our topic is working as a mission. And my guest, Dr. Shanti Persaud, says that our belief system as Christians can hinder our calling and prevent us from fulfilling our God-given purpose. She asks, as Christians, do we see our work as a mission field or as something worldly? And can we understand that everything that we have is stewarding for a higher calling? Let me tell you a bit about Dr. Shanti. She's a passionate servant leader. She's a wife and mother of 3 girls. And she is on a mission to empower women, not women, but people. So women are people, to live empowering lives. I could say more about her, but why don't I let her come on to the show? And with that, I welcome Dr. Shanti Persaud to Chat It with the Experts. Hi.
Hi, Paula. Thank you so much for this invitation.
Absolutely. And thank you for saying yes.
You're welcome.
I read a bit of your bio, but I didn't say all. Can you just embellish it a little bit? Or did I say it all?
You said a lot there about myself, and usually sometimes my bio goes for 2 pages, and so I tell people, please don't. I give them very short version to just, that's just simple me. That's
So what you haven't said is that you hold a degree in business management. You have a master's in business administration and a doctorate in transformational leadership. And you've had over 10 years of experience in corporate training and more than 7 years of experience in business and executive coaching. You got a lot that you didn't say, but you're humble.
Sometimes people think that, when they see my CV or so, they say, how intimidating your background there is. And, I say to people, it's not about intimidation, but how can I inspire you to be all that you are made to be? Right. And I do believe there is greatness in all of us that sometimes we self-sabotage ourselves, in that aspect that we sell ourselves short. We don't explore every possible thing that God has put you on this earth to do. And I tell people, if you're not going to live your purpose, then you're pretty much robbing someone, that gift that God would have given you to bless them with. So don't go to your grave and with all these gifts and all the things that you are capable of doing.
I love that you say that because, yes, sometimes people are so intimidated by other people that you don't even spend time getting to know them, and you miss out so much because people are people first and foremost, and all those other things are secondary. And as Christians, we know first and foremost, our mission is to serve, and every other thing follows after that. So, yeah. I can understand why your CV intimidates, especially when I look at you. You look so young. I mean, off camera, you were telling me that your eldest daughter is 21, and I almost collapsed. I'm like, I thought you were 21.
Oh, thank you. I would love to be 21 right now. Many times people say stuff like this. If I knew what I know now, like 20 years back, right? What kind of different life you would be having. And so, yeah, I wish I was 21 with all the knowledge that I have now.
That's why I don't want to be 21 anymore, because I know at 21, I was so uncertain of myself, not confident in the least bit, and kind of fearful of next things in life. But now I'm no longer that way. And it's a lot has to do with me giving my life to Christ and changing that He changed me. And that's why I'm happy not to be 21 again, because when I was 21, I didn't know the Lord the way I know Him now.
Yep.
So let's talk about some of our beliefs as Christians. Why sometimes do we feel that, we hinder our calling and we think that we're not fulfilling our God-given purpose?
So something, and I'm sharing my lessons that I learned coming through this journey of life.
Mm-hmm.
And, coming from a Hindu background and being converted to a Christian during my university age. So during between 18 and 19, that's where I met the Lord. And if I'm to tell you the whole story behind that, we're going to spend hours on this program. But during my conversion is that, my heart was so much in for the Lord, and I want to do everything that was being told to me that as Christians we should do. And at some point during this whole journey here too, is that, I got programmed to believe certain things. And I'll give you an example of it is that as Christians, I was taught that, what? There's sacred work and there's secular work, kind of, right? And when I started my MBA in Baki Graduate University, which is a Christian university, really shattered all of those belief system and helped me to understand that, thinking that work is there's some sacred work and there's some secular work, that therefore God didn't make all work. And we understood that everything under the sun, God made everything, right? And He made work. I mean, I am not a preacher. I am not the person to be teaching you about Christianity or the faith or anything along that line. But you could read it in the Bible where, in the beginning, where God talk about work and the whole aspect of work. But the word work comes with this kind of belief that it's hard, right? That when you hear I have to go to work, oh my gosh, work, that is like gonna be draining and what's not. And so we were taught that, work could be joyful, that God made all of us and He made work. He made Adam and Eve. He put them in the garden and He told them to, take care of it. That's work. Right? And it was joyful. You plow, you live off of the land, all the thing. You could read the whole story there. And He said that we're made to do good works too. Right? So there's something good in all of us that we could bring out. But the belief system that work is something hard, that there's certain work only God blesses. And then there's certain work that He doesn't bless, right? And yes, there's certain things that people do that maybe it's not in line with what God, want us to be doing. But let's talk about our regular work. Like for me, I always thought, okay, as a Christian now, I need to resign my job. So I manage a business with my husband, and we have over 40 employees. We import stuff and like machines and different things that help our farmers, our miners, and different people that need certain machine to help make their work easier. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not fulfilling what God maybe put me on this earth to do. I'm supposed to be a missionary. And missionary means that you leave your job, you go maybe in the interior of Guyana, where I'm from, or you go to Africa, or you go to some third world country that people are suffering, and you go there and you give them the word of God and you help them through that. That was my mentality of mission, right? And coming to that understanding when I did my first class that talk about theology of work, right? And yeah, it was like a mind-blowing class for me that shattered everything that I thought this is what. In that class, I learned that I am actually a missionary in the same store, right, that I'm running, that I'm a missionary there. and that I can fulfill my God-given purpose there as a missionary. And the whole aspect of people, what we're doing there, it's for a bigger purpose. It was for a higher calling. There are people there that needs to also see what God looks like in us, right? And I don't need to go leave the job and go somewhere else to show people what God looks like through my behavior and my life, or to tell them anything. And there were so much life lessons in stuff that where our belief system would have hindered us from actually stepping out to do great things. I'm going to give you one more example of how my belief system also trapped me. So I was taught, that I call it a wiring. So my brain's got wired to think that if I get more money, if I gain more things in life, right? You get houses, whatever assets. If you get more, then you've become worldly, right? And so the more you focus and you build those things or whatever, you have become a worldly person. Christians should not be worldly, right? And so I thought, okay, why focus on all those things? Why even try to achieve getting money, more money, or anything like that? Why do all of that? So I never set a revenue goal for myself, right? And I've never worked towards achieving anything grand, because if I do so, I was taught that I'm gonna become worldly and I'm going after the world per se. And so the belief system is that, where it says that, but money, the whole aspect about money and gaining more money, or so, or money becoming your God, kind of, so the idea I, came to understand through all of it is that it's not about having the money. It's if you have the money that becomes your God.
Yes.
If you're worshiping the money, that you do like money to just get to, at whatever cost or whatever, then you might be in some problem there.
Yes.
But the whole aspect of many Christians I see that are struggling, right? They're struggling to get by in life. And I don't believe that's what God meant, because He said about having an abundant life too. And I'm not talking abundance where money alone is concerned. I'm talking abundance mentally, abundance in your relationship, in love, and a whole aspect of abundance here, and not only about money here. But it was something that I had to understand, that money is not, the root of all evil. It is the love. The word that came before, it's the love of it. It becomes, that. And so the whole idea of restructuring your thinking here to understand that there's some belief system that is causing you not to step out. And now that I understand that, I started to set revenue goals. I came out of that mentality, you know what? If I earn more, I can able to help more people.
Give more. Yes.
We have a foundation that brings value-based teaching into schools. And to get that going, it costs, because we have to give the materials to the students. And so if I can earn more, I can actually reach more students through this year. And we're talking country transformation in a few years from now, how the children coming out of high school can actually see what leadership should look like and live that, right? And they will bring the change. But I'm just saying, I might not live to see all of that, but I can start something here because of my mindset that, you know what, I can earn to be able to do something greater too. But I'm going to stop there and hear your thoughts, Paula.
I agree with you 100%. And that's a discussion I've been having with, excuse me, a lot of new Christians, young both in their walk with the Lord and young also in age, where they believe that now I'm a Christian, then I'm not supposed to, actually pursue a career or, excuse me, or, get educated, because it means that I am, becoming more worldly. And I have to remind them that first and foremost, you have to realize that as a Christian, it's your heart that changes, and your heart is what drives everything. So, you can have all that money and your heart is right, and you can have no money and your heart is not right. So it's your heart that controls your belief. Your belief, first of all, is in Christ, and then you try and develop a relationship with him. But he himself, that's Jesus himself, said, render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar, when someone asked him about paying taxes. So that means he knew that there was a difference between, the worshiping the worldly things and actually having the right heart relationship for God. And so I agree with you. If you don't earn enough money, you may not be able to support some very necessary and needed causes because you are restricting yourself. I also think also of the parable of the persons who had the 5 talents, the 3 talents, and the 1 talent. And, saying you have to know who you are and how you're called and work accordingly with that calling to be the blessing that God has called you to be. So thank you for pointing that out with your life and giving that example, because it makes it even clearer to see, what we're expected to do as a Christian. So thank you. I know one of the things you wanted to talk about was stewardship. We have limited time, and so I don't want to take so much of your time. Let's talk about stewardship.
This whole aspect of stewardship was something new also for me, to understand that, everything that I have, it is not mine. Right? So even though you're working so hard for your money and what's not, is to understand it doesn't belong to you. And some people get confused with me saying that, yeah, I worked for it. I've been laboring all my life, and I've earned this thing. I've have this vehicle. I have this house. I have whatever, right? And the whole aspect of it's something that I had to understand is that all these things belongs to God, and I'm just storing it for Him. I'm looking after it for Him. Right, he's given it, and coming to my kids, we talk. I have 3 daughters, right? Your relationships, all these things. My kids is not, they're not mine. They belong to the Lord, and I'm just storing them for Him, right? And so many times when people see me with certain things, I tell them plain, it's not mine, right? It's the Lord's, and it's to be used for Him. And when understanding that concept of stewardship, one of the big thing that hit me as a manager, as somebody who's leading a team and all of that, was that my team, I'm stewarding for the Lord. And the people that are reporting to me, I'm stewarding their lives too. And that opened up my whole perspective as to how do I want to lead them? Right? And how am I going to take care of them too, being that God has entrusted me to look over this business, the people in the business, the customers, and all of that. And so we're talking about work as a mission field here. So I'm just giving you a little understanding of the things I had to understand as a Christian, and to help me to know that, nothing holds me because I know it doesn't belong to me, right? And so having more money, or having a vehicle, or having a house, having whatever might be that you have, that that as Christians, we understand we're stored in it. One day we're going to die and we're going to leave everything. And I don't know how many leaders understand that concept, because the way we see people behave these days is like everything grab, grab, grab. And the more they can grab, and you're gonna die and leave all of it, right? What are you putting it to use for, right? And so I'm just in this aspect of understanding that you're stored in even your life, right? And how do you want to live it? You're storing it for the Lord. What are you going to do? Your decisions. How are you investing in you to make you even better so that you can lead those people better, right? How are you learning to do those things then? And the importance of doing it well. Many times I do interviews, I tell people that in my work here, my principle comes from the Bible, and it says that whatever you do, do it as if you're doing it for God.
Yes.
And so that is our policy. Whatever you do, do it. Don't do it for me. You're reporting. Don't do it for me. Don't do it because I asked you to, or you're here because and you're told that you have a job description and do this. Do it because you're doing it for a higher calling.
Yeah.
Right? You're doing it for a higher calling. You're not doing it for the person who's paying you to do it. Whether you're sweeping the floor or you are making some serious decision at the next level, whatever it is that you're doing, do it as if you're doing it for God. So what kind of quality would you give him? Right? What
Yes.
kind of quality you want to give him? You're gonna do some mediocre thing and you didn't even verify, you didn't check that what kind of quality you want to give. So remembering that you're storing it for him, and what quality would you give to him if you understand doing your work for that. We have so much disengagement problem around the world, right? And with people in jobs, not only in my country, around the world. And why? Because we think we're doing our job for somebody else
Yes.
instead of we're doing it for a higher calling. And if we understand that principle, we will do things totally different. Right?
Yes.
And so I want to leave that part with you, that you are stored in the lives of the people, your relationships, your assets, whatever it is that you have, it doesn't belong to you. You're gonna die and leave everything. So you might as well make sure that you don't let it hold on to you, and your decisions are being made based on that.
I love it because one thing that, I mean, I love your parting words, which is nothing belongs to you. You're going to die, because that's one thing we know for sure. We are going to die and leave these material things behind. But if we have been walking in the calling, if we have been walking in our purpose, if we have been walking in a way that people's lives have been changed, or through them looking at our lives, they have changed, then we've done what we have been called to do. Oh, my word. Dr. Shanti, this has been very good. Can you tell us where we can find you online, please, for those who have heard you and who want to know more about you and the work that you do?
You can search for me. I'm on Facebook and Shanti Persaud, or LinkedIn. And we do have our company website. Our company name is Lead to Influence, LEADTO, influence.com.
Okay.
So you can search for us at leadtoinfluence.com. And you have a lot of information there about myself too, what we do here in Guyana per se. And yeah, connect. Let's hear any questions or anything that you want to ask us, or ask me, ask Paulo.
Yes, and of course, for the Q&A session, you'll be there to speak and answer any questions that anyone who joins can wants to ask you.
Definitely.
So for those of you who have just viewed this or subsequently listened to this on the podcast, I want to tell you that if you'd like to be a guest, please reach out to me on my website, which is chattingwiththeexperts.com. I am also on LinkedIn as Paula Okone. I am on Instagram. My handle there is @chat_experts_podcast. And I'm also on Facebook as Paula Okone. Thank you so much, Dr. Shanti, for this. I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate the work that you're doing to change neighborhoods, communities, the country you live in. And because you mentioned earlier on about high schoolers and being influential in enabling a change to come about in their life by what you're doing. So thank you